Now let's find out more about the extent of damage brought about by Ulysses. We now talk to National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council spokesperson Mark Timbal. Mark, good morning. Thanks for taking our call. Firstly, how many families and individuals have been evacuated from their homes because of this typhoon?
Ms. Ria, good morning. Here at the NDRRMC, we were able to get information that the total affected population is more or less 25,031 people in 273 barangays in regions 2, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, and the Cordilleras. 245 evacuation centers had been used, and more than 1,000 people have been, more than 14,000 persons have been staying in the evacuation centers in these various locations. At the National Capital Region, we have received reports that those who have been preemptively evacuated in the coastal areas have started to return to their houses. And the communities that are still inundated, we are still waiting for the figures on those people who are staying at the evacuation centers. I have details here of our current rescue operations. We already have 363 rescue teams from the national government supporting the local rescue efforts of our local government units. As of this morning's report, we have received information from our rescue teams from the Armed Forces of the Philippines that they were able to rescue or evacuate a total of 6,309 people from the different communities here in Metro Manila, as well as in the neighboring provinces that have been that had experienced severe flooding. The Philippine Coast Guard has deployed more or less 70 teams to be able to process the rescue operations in the different localities, specifically there in Marikina City, as well as in the Rizal towns of Rodriguez and San Mateo.
All right, Mark, let's talk about the numbers here. Are there updated reports of fatalities and missing persons? Because yesterday, I believe the Philippine National Police reported at least 13 deaths. Have these been validated by the NDRRMC?
The validation is ongoing. That's why we haven't actually published any figure similar to that amount that was marked by our counterparts in the Philippine National Police. As of yesterday, the only validated details that we have is the report coming from the Camarines Norte Disaster Management Office, wherein they identified 1 dead, 1 injured, and 4 missing. But we're expecting that before this morning's briefing with the cabinet at the NDRRMC, we will be having these details reported.
All right, so I assume also the numbers for the number of people missing, that's also not yet verified, but will be included in your briefing later?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, what about the damage brought on by Ulysses to infrastructure and agriculture? How much damage in monetary terms did it cause?
So far, the computation of damages is still ongoing. The instructions that we gave to our local disaster management officials is that they should focus on the search and rescue operations at the aftermath of Typhoon Ulysses. The reports for the assessment are still due today. We haven't been insistent on getting those data because, as what you mentioned in your reports, we have received a lot of requests for search and rescue assistance from both LGU and individuals. Hence, our focus, as well as that of our local disaster officials, is search and rescue operations.
Yes, understandably, yun talaga dapat ang priority. Mark,
Yes,
do we know how many households are still without power at this point?
Power outages have been experienced in a lot of locations. In those areas that had been affected. We have 85 municipalities in Regions 2, Calabarzon 5, and Region 8 that are experiencing power outages as of yesterday. Here in Manila, the re-energization is almost complete because a lot of communities here have already had their power restored. But as per our local power utilities, they are already in the middle of the restoration process in regions Calabar Zone here in Metro Manila, in Central Luzon. The restoration operations in Region 5 is yet to continue, is yet to resume because we have suspended that in view of Ulysses.
All right. Now, there were a number of impassable roads yesterday because of flooding or fallen posts and uprooted trees. Alam ba natin, Mark, kung na-clear na ba mga ito?
Opo. We had received information for the 76 road sections and 30 bridges have been declared impassable, not passable dahil po dito kay Ulysses. Pero ongoing po yung ating clearing operations. Here in Manila, wala na po tayong mga road impediments at inalis po kaagad ng DPWH and MMDA po yan. Also in Region 1, naalis po kaagad yung mga nangyari dyan landslide doon sa mga daan. But so far po, the clearing operations are still ongoing in a lot of communities. Yung ating po mga binahang communities that yung taas ng baha po ay kasing taas ng bahay, yan po hindi pa po talaga possible for vehicles. Yeah.
All right. Now, when it comes to communications, I know signal was very spotty yesterday. Do we know about damage to communication towers?
So far here in the metro, wala po tayong ganong katinding pagkapinsala ng ating mga communication lines. We're still able to connect we're still able to make mobile calls. We're still able to call using our internet access, but sometimes we have intermittent servicing. In locations in Region 5, communication lines are still problematic, but the restoration of these services will resume once the weather has improved. In other locations, Calabar Zone, in Central Luzon, Region 2, there's no problem with the communications. We are still in constant communication with our disaster managers.
All right. Now, yesterday, with all the events, the memories of Ondoy literally came flooding back. Would you say that Ulysses is more destructive based on your initial assessment?
So far, Ms. Riyad, totoo po, there had been some comparisons between Ondoy and Ulysses. But as far as my considered opinion is concerned, the death toll for Ondoy was 700 people. The death toll so far for Ulysses is just it's less than 100, and we're hoping that it won't reach that particular count. A lot of communities had been affected here in the metro, but it's unlike Ondoy, wherein a larger portion of Metro Manila was inundated. What happened here is that the low-lying areas of Metro Manila, specifically in Marikina and Pasig, these were the only ones that had experienced severe flooding, as well as some parts of Quezon City, but not like the Ondoy experience. So there are some significant differences here, but Ondoy was more damaging, as I could remember.
All right, one last question, Mark. Speaking of differences, would you say the government and LGU response was better for Ulysses compared to Ondoy?
Yeah, comparatively, yes. Because during that time on the Ondoy experience, one of the notable points there was that even the rescue teams, the families of the rescue teams, the local governments were all inundated, and they were not able to provide services, rescue services, immediately. But what we've seen here in the instance of Typhoon Ulysses, local governments were already on the scene. The deployments of the rescue teams were done earlier, and as well as the prepositioning. And the response of the local government was timely, as I can judge. The continuing operations and all the equipment that had been deployed were very different compared to that of the Ondoy experience.
So kahit papaano, mas prepared sila. All right, Mark, just quickly, I want to go back to the figures you mentioned earlier. You said the death toll so far for Ulysses is under 100. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we are hoping that there will not be that kind of count. But so far here at the national, our count hasn't exceeded 20 people. We are only reporting as of now 1 dead, 1 injured, and 4 missing persons. But once the complete report of the complete police report is sent to us with the supporting validation documents, we will be adjusting our count.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. NDRRMC
No
Spokesperson
problem.
Mark Timbal.